This is the Environmental Protection Commission, regular meeting Wednesday, December 7, 2022. It's 7 p.m. New business, EPC 30-2022, 23 Crimmins Road, S. Rogers and M. Rogers, to construct and expand a recreational wood deck and other related features in the special flood hazard area and within 50 feet of the wetlands. The property lies along the south side of Crimmins Road, approximately 600 feet east of Fitch Avenue, and is identified as map number 41, lots number 116, 117. Zone is R1/3, and it is approximately 30,132 square feet. Right.
Initially, Mr. Chairman, this is a new application. It came in very close to the or early in the month, and I was able to visit the site and provide some comments. And there's been a pretty full response to the request for additional information. Essentially, we start off first by acknowledging the receipt of the application and accepting the application as we traditionally do. However, in this case, I'd like to go over a few things in terms of what the applicant has done in order to move forward with the application. You noted that the property lies along the south side of Crimmins Road. It has just off-site. There is a reach of Stony Brook. It's not on the property, it is actually off the property. There's a small finger of wetlands that reaches through the backyard and encroaches into the property. That wetland is almost exclusively been maintained historically as lawn. There is also pretty extensive areas of special flood hazard on the parcel, affecting probably 2/3 to 3/4 of the parcel itself. The applicant is proposing to construct or expand a wood deck that's along the rear plane of the building. It has a wood deck, a stair, and a landing. Given the scale of the project, the applicant's going to be, or is responsible for, or is tasked with demonstrating that it minimizes the impacts on the regulated areas, utilizes measures to preserve water quality, confirms the absence of drainage and flood impacts, and addresses the structural requirements of the flood insurance regulations and the local regulations as they pertain to flood protection. To that end, the applicant has provided a site development plan showing the limits of the resources. There are no direct wetland or floodplain encroachments, or floodway encroachments, excuse me. The encroachments with the expanded deck affect about a little over 400 square feet of the upland review area and the floodplain. The affected space is generally comprised of lawn. If you've been to the site, actually it is in its entirely lawn or other developed space with that has been occupied by structure. The new deck will encroach about 32 feet to the wetland. There will be no trees, no grade change as a result of the construction. Given the de minimis increase in site imperviousness, impacts to drainage in the abutting properties are unlikely, falls significantly under the threshold for a detailed analysis. DPW comments are pending. To assist in the preservation of water quality, they've provided a sediment erosion control plan consisting of perimeter silt fences, stockpile areas. They'll be placing a 3/4-inch layer of square stone under the entire deck to help stabilize the soil, keep weed growth down. And the disturbance to construct this deck would be limited to what is necessary to install the 9 piers to support the expanded deck. The applicant has committed to removing, exporting any fill generated by the excavation. This, in terms of flood impacts, the project engineer has certified the absence of hydraulic impact, meaning not causing a rise in flood heights, given its location and distance from the river, and the density of the construction in the particular area. And in terms of what is needed for structural floodproofing, the regulations require that when you exceed 50% of the fair market value of the structure, then you have to bring the whole property or the whole dwelling into flood compliance. There's been a couple of other prior improvements that we've been keeping accounting of. This improvement does not thrust the project to exceed the 50% threshold. So they do not have to flood-proof the entire project. However, they have a professional engineer reviewed the deck construction and has made recommendations and have put it on the plans, and has certified that the deck and its attendant facilities are capable of withstanding the flood depth pressures, velocities, impact, and uplift forces and other factors associated with the base flood. And that's to ensure that those portions of the deck will essentially remain in place, will not be flood damaged, and will not contribute to debris field. It's a bit extra, it's conservative, but it's a good practice to do.
And the applicant has agreed to that.
Yes, and I mean, those are the plans that they have
Okay,
provided
fine.
and have been certified as
Okay.
such.
Okay.
I can't say that the only thing that has not been addressed, and it's really up to the board, and I just want to say as a side, Ms. Bain and Rossi were not in attendance this evening, and they have provided some comments that they will hope to be considered as part of this project. And they essentially resolve around a reasonable response to providing some native landscaping to the wetland. And both have addressed similar concerns. But otherwise, they have, they pointed out some de minimis changes to the report in terms of, grammar and.
Well, there is no
some other
landscaping
things.
plan, correct?
There is no landscaping
So,
to
okay.
date. So,
So their concerns can be handled with a landscaping plan?
yes.
Okay. Sorry, do you,
No,
anything else?
no, that's, and the applicant is here this evening if you have any particular questions. Their professionals are not, but again, everything that is been stated by and has been put on the plans and certified by the engineer and signed and sealed in terms of the impact analysis.
Okay. Is the applicant? Hi, come on up. Please state your name and your address, please.
Sure. Mallory Rogers, 23 Crimmins Road.
Thank you. Do you have any?
No, I don't have any questions.
No questions. I think, Rick, you answered the question. We have 9 piers with minimal impact on the wetland area, and there will not be a concrete slab or otherwise
No,
installed.
I mean, the only thing there'll be
Sonotube, right?
a small, what do you call it, a slab at the base of the stair.
Got it.
Where it'll let the stair landing.
Perfect. Yep.
And what they do is they'll be attaching it with mechanical fasteners to ensure that the piers and the slab and the deck itself remain in place.
No other questions. Thank you.
I was there today. There is a small dumpster in front of the driveway, but that could be for any number of purposes. It's not
Yeah,
a question.
it's for current construction interior that we're waiting for it to be
It appeared that way.
removed.
And from the height of the existing deck off the lawn, which by eyeballing it is probably 16
Yeah.
feet-ish.
Yeah, it's pretty high because the basement is half out
Cor-
in the back.
And I said, this looks like a great plan to, you know, have the family enjoy a larger deck area looking back over your rear yard. It looked fine to me.
Okay.
Yeah, there's really no access to get to the backyard at this point without the current deck. You have to walk to the
Right.
front, the stairs are in the front, and you have to go all the way around, or you have to go out of the garage. So we just haven't really been making the best use of the backyard with our kids, so this feels like the best next step.
Looks very desirable.
Okay, then, I guess the next steps is, some sort of landscaping or planting plan
Okay.
that, if the members of the commission agree, we'll let staff approve, that you just work it out with them, and you can, you know, Rick.
So in between now and the next meeting, I'll you're directing me to draft a resolution.
Draft a resolution.
And
then
include-
pending, and then you can submit it pending her,
Include planting.
landscape plan, and then we can approve it next meeting, assuming that he gets the stuff in time.
Okay,
Is that fine?
yeah.
Okay.
You need a motion to accept this?
No, we don't.
No, you just-
Don't vote to accept
Okay,
it.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mallory. Sure. Okay. Okay, the next item of new business is EPC 31-2022, 1 Tanglewood Trail, J. Hurley Jr. and J. Amos. To demolish an existing garage, construct residential additions, reconstruct a drive, install drainage, and implement other related activities proximate to the wetlands and watercourses. The property lies along the north side of Tanglewood Trail, just west of Roqueton Road, and is identified as map number 18, lot number 28. The zone is R1/2, and it's approximately 26,266 square feet. Rick, you want to?
The purpose of this evening is to place this matter on an agenda.
So we accept it,
acknowledging-
right?
Acknowledging receipt and starting the statutory time clock. I can note that, well, just in brief, the applicant's proposing to demolish the existing garage that is attached to the home and to reconstruct it, but in reconstructing it, he's raising the level of the garage floor and adding a small room to the back of it as the means of relocating utilities and protect them from, you know, some drainage issues that he's experienced over the last few years. It'll involve regrading of the driveway. It'll involve the placement or amendment of drainage. And staff has been working with the applicant to develop a plan of mitigation that adequately and reasonably compensates for not only the encroachments, but is seeking to remove accumulated brush and debris, and will be providing a buffer, displacing lawn in order to, and enhancing the overall conservation values of the property. Just in 5 minutes, if you've been there, you'd note to the one side of the property is a reach of, it's off-site, is a reach of Cummings Brook with a fringe wetland, and then to the rear is an intermittent water course. They're sort of perpendicular to each other, and then the vast majority of the site is landscaped space. To the rear is the wooded space onto the other side of this small intermittent water courses. So there is a fair amount of resource on the property, but the applicant intends to develop within the currently manicured space, and we'll be looking at issues relevant to sediment erosion control, drainage impact, mitigation, the scope of work relative to the regulated areas, wetlands and water courses. So that's a work in progress, and in fact, they've submitted some information today too, that not for this evening's meeting, but to be reviewed by the town's consulting engineer, et cetera. So.
I didn't see a landscaping plan, is there anything there to?
It's in process, it's gonna be
Okay.
submitted.
That's in process, okay. Michael, do you have anything to, is the applicant here? Hi, mind stepping up? Please state your name and address, please.
I'm Jim Hurley, and I'm one of the owners of One Tanglewood Trail.
Great, thank you for coming tonight.
Thanks, thank you for being here.
I actually thought Wayne's drawing here, the proposed residence showing the water detention is actually helpful, where he shows the percentage of the line that's catching the stormwater that's going into the Coltex. So I guess the question is does the property currently have any water detention?
Yes. So there had been a prior application on this property, and in fact, there's been revised plans that are being submitted. Staff has found that there, from a prior application, there was some stormwater detention that existed and was coarsely as-built. So these plans that are now being provided are taking that into consideration. One, to make sure that the impacts are adequately mitigated, and two, that ensure that there's no conflicts. So there'll be a revised drainage plan and subject to the review of the town's consulting engineer.
And then, I'm sorry, just for the record, so is the footprint of, I understand that the garage is being raised. Is the footprint of the home changing?
Only a small amount. It's only in the addition at the back of the home. The garage, I think, is.
The garage is-
There's a little slash thing on your diagram.
The garage is inch for inch the same. And we've already gone. That's fine. Yes, I have no further questions. No questions.
No question. And he's a builder. I'm just teasing you. I have no questions. Okay, pending landscape plan, did you have any comments from Carolyn and Lauren?
Yes, I mean, they hit the same issues again. They, concerning ensuring that we have, the issue of stormwater, mitigation being adequately addressed, and that, making sure it's clearly shown on the plan what goes to where, and, again, that landscape plan for pertinent areas of the property, to include a buffer, again, to minimize the lawn, increase the conservation values of the property, remove invasives, et cetera. I can report also, I had a discussion with the landscape designer who is going to be providing this, and so we hit the highlights there, but that was their comments as well.
Okay, so like the prior landscape plan can be approved by staff?
No,
Okay.
this one is a little bit further back in the review process.
Oh, okay.
So there's some important
There's
questions
more.
concerning
Okay,
drainage,
so we have more to hear.
and so there's
Okay.
more
Are
that's
you aware of
being
that?
submitted.
I think I'm turning it in, they have it all today. Wayne's got an updated plan. The landscape architect is submitting her plan. What are we missing? That's it. Oh, and then, there were 5 questions that I was asked, and all those were submitted.
Okay, so in theory, you believe you're done and it's subject to review now? Okay, is that fair? Is that a fair comment?
Well, I mean, again, I think the civil drawing was submitted, I don't think the landscape drawing has been developed and submitted.
Oh, it's developed. It'll be submitted tomorrow.
Yeah,
Oh,
so-
okay, okay.
But there's.
So we'll see it, we'll
there's
see you
we'll see
then
it at the next
month.
meeting.
Okay.
We'll detail it in the next
I
meeting.
do have one follow-up question, sorry. So is the house being materially renovated?
Just interior.
Right, but, okay, and,
What happened is the town approved a basement to be built in the last zoning meeting, like in 2003, and I had to fill that basement. They dug it below the water table. So I used an engineer to design a fill, so we filled it. Now I've got to create that small room behind the garage and
for your
internally
utilities.
to hold all my mechanicals. They dug the basement to take all the colonial mechanicals from the center of the house to put in the basement. So other than that,
Below the water line.
I think we're bringing the second floor of the east side of the house forward, but there's no material new roof line. And all new roof, according to Wayne, will fit in the Coltex system, the drainage, but not drainage, the overflow.
Right, so that's where my questioning lied, is if there was no change to the overall footprint of the building, but which is a good idea, Wayne has proposed stormwater detention. It's a planning and zoning issue, not an EPC issue, whether you would need to put the Coltex in the first place. But my question was gonna be is, based on this chart, you have, just something to think about, is you have stormwater detention for, just eyeballing this, 50% of the footprint of your roof line. Why wouldn't you put more stormwater detention while you're at this exercise for the whole roof?
So we have I think there's two things. Wayne's new one says what we have meets all the town's requirements. And then it's up to my wife and I if we want to spend $25,000 to add more. Because according to Wayne, it's not going to help me with my flooding problem. It's simply going to satisfy water distribution from the roof. But he's like, once I did the math, the two systems that are there but that is what will be submitted. It just came to us today. Greer, I think, may have updated it today. So do you see what I'm saying? What we have is supposed to work.
I'm not 100% familiar with the regulation. That's a planning and zoning item. I was just
Yeah.
casually sharing this information with you.
According to the
Something
new plan, Wayne's saying you don't have to spend that money unless you want to.
might help keep your basement a little drier, if that's a concern.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
It'll be, anyways, and then the other thing is that they're adding a front porch, I think, too, right? So there's some de minimis changes to the front porch.
Yeah, there's a de minimis.
So they will, again, this was something that we found during the initial review of this, was there was a system there, and so Wayne came back and is analyzing it to ensure that the existing system with the existing house, when combined with the new expansion of that very small room in the rear and the porch, what the impact will be, and he's making sure that it appropriately mitigates it. So rather than putting in 6 or 8 or 9 infiltrators in the original plan, there may be some lesser number or no, once he analyzes what is there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. See you next month.
Cool, thank you guys. Thanks for being
Okay.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Yeah,
You
You too, thank you. Next item of business is CPC 32-2022, 41 St. Nicholas Road, E. Johnson and C. Johnson, to construct an elevated terrace patios and walkways, expand a driveway/parking court, install drainage, and implement landscaping proximate to wetlands. The property lies along the north side of St. Nicholas Road, approximately 1,040 feet west of Mansfield Avenue, and is identified as map number 6, lot number 99. The zone is R1 and is approximately 2 acres.
So Chairman, again, the first time submittal, acknowledge the receipt, starts with statutory time clock, make a determination if a public hearing is necessary. There has been no public interest. This is work that's proposed for an upland review area. It is for an expanded area of terrace, some improvements to the existing driveway, and furthering of a drainage system to not only mitigate impacts in terms of drainage, but also for water quality purposes. The area, just very briefly, is uplands around the existing residential development with some number, with urbanized spaces around the dwelling itself. That upland, though, has some very pretty significant trees on the property, beautiful trees that we'll have some comments on to ensure that those are maintained as part of the landscape. The rear of the property is where the true wetland is, and it's moderately wooded, and there are some some minor historic encroachments with like an old shed that's in the back there, et cetera. So we'll be developing a letter outlining areas of concern. One thing you should know is I believe it was in the package, is that the applicant has submitted so far a pretty comprehensive re-landscaping plan with tons of native materials.
I saw the landscaping plan was pretty impressive.
Is really quite impressive so far, but we'll delve into it in detail over the next month or so. Tom Nelson is here this evening if you have any questions for him. He's the engineer of record, and I'm available for any questions.
Hi, Tom, you mind coming up?
I might defer to,
Great, no problem.
I'm Tim Lynch from Catherine Herman Design. I'm a landscape architect, and I did work with McCord on this project. So we had done the design, and yeah, so we're working with McCord.
Okay, question about the shed. The shed appears to be within the wetlands, actually. Is there any way that can be moved out of there?
The plan calls for the shed to be turned, rotated to get out of
Sorry.
the wetlands.
Thanks.
The L100, or the L1.00 landscape plan.
Yeah, I saw that as a, okay, so ex-wood shed. Okay. So the shed I have on the,
Rotate shed out of wetlands.
okay,
Takes the one that's kind of on an angle to the home.
gotcha, right here, and it
spins
moves it here.
to 90 degrees.
Okay, so, thank you. That answered my question. First of all, is there anything else? Rick, were you finished before we get?
No, I'll generate
Okay.
a letter in response to, my
Okay.
review and your comments.
Okay, then, you mentioned that we consider a public hearing for this? So I don't, you know,
That's all ones with determination, if you think it
I
falls
don't know,
within the
guys.
realm.
I'm not sure, from my perspective, you know, they're not raising the house.
They're not
So
filling
From my
wetlands, they're
perspective,
not.
I look at it and go, hey, they're fixing up the patio, they're doing a lot of improvement, I might add, to the wetlands and upland review area.
And any of the area that will be developed with the new terrace is either existing terrace or it's lawn that's within the upland review area. And we're taking out quite a bit of lawn and removing it from the upland review area and the wetland and upland review area. We're removing lawn that's existing there now to put in this buffer planting that would help kind of mitigate any impacts.
No, it's a very complete plan. Michael?
No, I really don't have any questions.
Okay,
No questions?
no questions? I have mine, so be interested when your communication is complete with staff to take a look at this, but it looks pretty good.
Good.
So, you know, and I like the idea of respecting the wetland and, you know, creating the corridor there, which is what the planting plan says.
Right.
So, good job, guys.
Just for the record, the comments.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are they able with an arborist to date the white oak that's in the front yard, which is beyond historic?
Right. It is there are, as someone had mentioned before, there are a lot of specimen trees.
Yes.
I'm an arborist myself, and I can, I don't.
It's more
do-
curiosity.
Right.
It's just,
I can look kind of.
phenomenal
I'm
specimen.
interested in it as well. And one of the things, as a landscape architect, we had, you know, the client, those existing specimen oaks really add a tremendous amount. So the new design is sensitive to them as far as with the materials and construction methods. We're doing as much as we can. Most of it is already a terrace that we're putting back. So it's already, but we're doing all dry set stone. We're not trying to put concrete and dig. We're really doing our best to avoid any digging that is going to be, there's, I know this commission is pretty focused on impact to wetland, but we're also looking at impact to those trees and really want to really want to lessen any kind of impact. But I don't know the age. I can kind of
It's just
it's a
magnificent.
spectacular tree.
Oh, my God.
And there's several spectacular trees in the backyard. Not quite as much of a star as that tree in the front yard. It really is something
I was
else.
out there today, and it looked like the family was maybe entertaining people for lunch or something, because there were a lot of cars in the driveway. So I did not walk myself
Right.
to the rear, but I did spend a bunch of time with what I thought were extremely detailed plans. I noted in the cover letter from, I think you, Mr. Lynch, that only 700 feet of additional impact to the upland review area is proposed, and to be offset by 4,500 feet of what looks to be a tremendous submission for improved landscape plan. I think you pointed out, Eric. So I was, just protect that age-old white oak.
Right. We're not doing anything.
You're preaching to the choir, I think.
In that vicinity. So we are. The front yard is a great level front yard, and though the family doesn't have a lot of use as far as their backyard is all wetland, so there's not, and the design is more of, they'll sit on the terrace and look out on it, and then the usable yard for young families out in the front, and we'll kind of, but, so we're not doing a lot of change out there in the front. So, great, thanks very much.
I just had one technical question.
Sure.
So I'm just curious on the proposed location of the propane tanks. Why are you putting that on the south side of the house as opposed to the north side where you're a little bit closer to the fire pit and the other utility part area?
I think it was more for the delivery of the propane delivery.
Got it. Yep.
And, you want
Near
to
the
create an
driveway.
area where the propane truck can get access to it.
I understand. Thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions?
That's it, thank you very much.
Great, I'll see you next month.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item of business is EPC 33, 2022, 21 Dorchester Road, F. Nicholas III and A. Smith, to construct residential additions and patio, install drainage, and implement other related activities proximate to the wetlands, watercourses, Mathers Pond, and special flood hazard areas. The property lies along the east side of Dorchester Road, approximately 1,150 feet south of Stephen Mather Road, and is identified as map number 1, lot number 113, zone is R2, and is at approximately 2.93 square acres, not square feet. Okay. On the,
3 acres.
yes, acres, yes.
So Chairman, the application is for a residential addition on this property with a very de minimis expansion of a bluestone terrace and drainage structured drainage to attenuate drainage impacts, less so, but for water quality purposes. The resources on the property, if you've been there, are really quite magnificent. It's on Mathers Pond, and it's the property that also has the dam on or near it, on the outlet of the pond. There is wetlands watercourses, and they range from the fringe that's along most of the pond, which is, in some ways, it's walled in many of the locations, but there's a fringe, to actual more densely wooded wetlands along where the exit from the dam is. Again, we're here this evening, starting the review process. We'll be generating a letter confirming what the staff perception is, your comments, and to look at the the task that the applicant would need to do to demonstrate compliance with the the wetland regulations. There is a very small area that's an unmarked A zone along the pond itself. But just in general, a very quick look at this, there's no direct encroachments as a result of this on the wetlands, the pond, or the floodplain, that the work is confined to the 100-foot setback to the pond, or 50 feet to the flagged wetlands. And tasking will be relating to what's the resource impacts, impacts on drainage, what are the impacts on water quality, what have you done to mitigate those impacts, and what are the opportunities here to enhance function, from a function standpoint, the areas adjoining some of the more critical resources. And I think in this case, it will include some landscaping along the bulk of the pond where it currently is lawn, and where both currently and proposed the outfalls from the drainage system and other systems on the property will drain. It looks like there's a pretty elongated flow path from those to the pond itself, but there's an opportunity there to do some conservation planting that's gonna be functional.
Good. Well, we'll await the submissions. Do we need it, just as, it's an
Unless anybody
acceptance
has
and
any
that's it?
questions, yeah.
And we'll see you next month.
Do you think this application is going to ever incorporate a pool?
I don't know, it doesn't include provisions for a pool at this time. There's no pool.
Here,
Any,
sorry, but the public can't hear you if you,
sure, yeah.
we hear you, but, please identify yourself.
Yeah, no,
and,
Tom Nelson, professional engineer with Port Engineering. I didn't know if you wanted me to give a brief summary tonight or.
No, next one.
Okay.
And so, no, just, it was a quick question here, so that's why.
Yep.
Okay, so that's why since you had the answer, I'd rather get it out now.
Sure, yeah, no pool proposed. Rick, I know we had talked maybe this possibly being staff level, but it looks like we're coming back next month.
Let's see what we have, what the response is.
Okay.
There may be an opportunity
We'll
to
find
do
out.
an agent approval, or
Yeah.
it could be depending on what comes back.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming out.
The next piece is old business, EPC 24-2022, 31 Blueberry Lane, M. Heighton and C. Heighton, to construct an in-ground pool, patio, equipment, drainage, and other related features within close proximity to wetlands and watercourses. The property lies along the east side of Blueberry Lane, approximately 1,450 feet south of Oxwich Road, and is identified as map number 7, lot number 29. The zone is R2 and is approximately 1.348 acres. I believe the commission members have a draft of the proposal. I'm sure you've done your magic on this, Jim.
I
Yes, you
did
did.
send them on to Rick.
Yes, and I have
Okay.
I
So,
have revised the,
okay, so, anybody else have anything?
No comments, no.
No questions? No. Jim, can I have a motion to approve?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm pleased to make a motion to approve the permit to conduct regulated activities with respect to EPC number 24-2022.
I'd like to second that motion on 24-2022.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So approved. The next piece of business is the approval of the minutes. I believe we just handed out a separate one with some corrections some corrections. And so, does anybody have anything else here to add or comment on?
No.
No additions.
Peter, anything?
Nothing?
Okay.
Yep.
I have a motion to approve.
Yes, I move that we approve the meeting minutes of our regular meeting of November 2, 2022.
And second the motion to approve the minutes, regular meeting, November 2nd, 2022.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on, agent approvals, EPC 28/2022, 2 Tanglewood Trail, C. Kesmodel, to install a fence within close proximity of the wetlands and watercourses. The property lies along the south side of Tanglewood Trail, just west of Roqueton Road, and is identified as map 18, lot number 29. The zone is R1 half and is approximately 0.601 acres.
Chairman, preliminary comments were provided at last month's meeting, and certain alterations to the plans have been addressed by the team representing Ms. Kesmodel. I've addressed those, I've accepted those concerns and the alterations that have been made, and I've prepared an agent approval. And if, just for briefly, so you may recall the terms of this, the property residentially developed, rear of the site supports a reach of Cummings Brook, wooded wetlands. The applicant, for the purposes of confining their pets and for security purposes, is proposing a fence. They've taken consideration of the board's concerns about having it elevated as to not impact drainage in adjoining properties, to allow for Mr. Wright's critters to go back and forth between the uplands and the wooded wetlands. Again, no substantial grade change. There'll be no loss of trees. In fact, the entire area where the fence is going is currently lawn grass. About 660 square feet of the upland review area, very conservatively estimated. And in response to, again, questions and concerns by the commission as they've investigated the site, there were a few select areas to the, let's just call it the waterward side of the fence, that could have used some enhancement, and the applicant has gone forward and has prepared a planting plan to stabilize and enhance those areas with conservation valued plantings, including some ferns and some shrub. And again, there wasn't much that to this. So therefore, I prepared this agent approval, citing the plans and coming up with the fairly standard conditions of approval for applications of this sort, including stakeout as necessary, installation of plantings under supervision of the team members, and they can provide a certification upon the successful completion and a copy of the as-built plan to ensure that the location of the fence was installed per plan.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
No.
No? Me neither.
No.
Okay, so we didn't, no vote on that one.
No vote?
The next piece of other business is the new schedule of regular meetings for the calendar year 2023.
Thank you.
For 2023,
So what I did on
Yes,
this is in response to discussion earlier in the year, we have already approved our scheduled dates of the regular meetings, and those are, and we had a deadline for just getting the meeting schedule done back in October, November.
right,
We picked the days,
and you fixed the deadlines for new submittal for new applications.
right, so.
Yeah, you separated it up, yeah.
So we picked the days of the regular meeting, being responsive to vacations, holidays.
I guess April is,
April there was a conflict with a.
Passover?
I think so, yes.
okay,
And we decided to move it a week earlier.
that's fine.
Late March.
And so we have two meetings in March, you see, the 1st and 29th. But in response to questions and concerns about, having a clear outline of deadlines,
Mhm.
and to bring our schedule more closely in line with what the state statute requires for like submittal of your first application, is I broke it down into two fields. The first being for new applications with little or no discussion. I've established a date that was, that gives them an extra 2 days essentially to submit that application.
Right.
Still enough time for the commission members to get, either hard copies or electronic copies and do some inspection. But again, that's all leading to that first meeting where you simply acknowledge receipt and decide if you want to have a public hearing
Super.
and any preliminary comments that you may have. The third column is the deadline for the submission of additional detailed information.
The Wilder Gleaser column.
Yep, and what I did was, typically, well, the commission previously, they had a deadline of Mondays, and it really didn't give staff enough time to review
To review everything,
things,
no, does make sense.
or commission members to fairly go out and evaluate things.
No, this makes sense. I'm
So what
happy
I
with
did is I
this.
pushed it back, and it only works out to 2 additional town hall business days. So we moved it from that Monday to the prior Tuesday. That gives the commission members 2 weekends to go out and look at these things. It gives us time to digest the information and write a report for you to help you, focus on, because you have so many things going on in your own lives and in your EPC lives, that you can focus on the issues and hopefully come up with some
Okay.
good applications.
I'm okay. I assume everybody's okay with this?
Yeah, it's terrific.
Okay, let's have a motion to approve.
Excellent.
I move that we approve the schedule of regular meetings with additional information as submitted by Rick here tonight. For calendar year 2023, sorry, Peter.
No, that's great. Second, the calendar as indicated and presented for 2023.
All in favor? Thank you. Great. Okay, last one. Motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn tonight's regular meeting of the Environmental Protection Commission.
Okay.
And second that motion to adjourn. December
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, Channel 79.